Welcome, guys, to another webinar by Tezi Mandi. In this webinar, we will actually be covering a very important topic, and also something a lot of you guys have been asking us. Why are falling markets a good time to invest? In the last couple of weeks, the market has been a bit volatile. There have been a lot of ups and downs in the market. So at this point, we also wanted to kind of explain why these times could actually be a good time to invest for investors. And we have Vaibhav, basically, who's going to cover this topic. A quick introduction about myself. I am actually a co-founder of Tezi Mandi. I also lead the product here at Tezi Mandi. So, and Vaibhav actually manages the fund, which is the portfolio at Tezi Mandi. So I guess we'll cover more of these details during the webinar. But if you guys have any questions about the product or any questions about any of the topics that we are covering in the webinar, you guys can ask in the Q&A option that is available at the bottom of Zoom. And keep us posted if you have any questions through this. And at the end of the webinar, we'll answer these questions. Okay, I guess that's it from my end. Vaibhav, I guess you can get started.
Hi, everyone. Upar, thanks for the introduction. So guys, I am Vaibhav. I am the Chief Investment Officer here at Tezi Mandi. So I'll just quickly run you through a presentation, and then I would love to interact with you guys and answer your questions. So now if we look at the global macro context, if we see the markets right now getting spooked because of increase in US bond yields and risk of inflation, and also because of an increase in the corona cases. However, it's important to note that global inflation may not necessarily be such a bad thing in the medium term. In fact, when the price of a lot of things goes up, there is generally an expansion in the monetary system, and cyclicals tend to do well in such situations. Now, if we look at India, this year's budget was, a clear move towards a bolder and growth-oriented India. The government's increase in deficit target to 9.5%. I mean, this is a monumental shift in the way the government thinks, and it's it also signals the path ahead. So that's why it's important to realize that the government has broken out of the shackles of the IMF and the rating agencies, and what they have proposed in this budget could actually be bigger than the 1991 reforms. And actually, India is in a far better place than it was in 1991. So, India's macroeconomic position is pretty strong. We have one of the lowest debt to GDPs compared to a lot of the other major economies of the world. We have forex reserves of, over 580 billion. That puts us in a pretty strong position to manage the volatility in the INR. And also, groundwork for future reforms has been laid through RERA, GST, Jan Dhan, bankruptcy laws, etc. Now, we are probably sitting on the cusp of a long growth cycle. Now, this is very important to realize and just take a step back and think about it, because this is something that will not necessarily manifest immediately. It is something that will happen over the course of the next 5 to 7 years. But we definitely have the ingredients of kind of a long growth cycle. Now, why is that the case? So if you see, India's corporate profits to GDP ratio is the lowest in several decades. Now, what this indicates is that, whatever GDP number we have, if we take corporate profits as a percentage of that number is very low. One of the reasons for that is that because of bad loans, earnings of a lot of banks have dried up. Once the NPA cycle reverses, earnings of banks like State Bank can go up almost 10x. There is a clear focus on capex, infra, and roads that could re-rate stocks and sectors that have underperformed for almost over 10 years now. The good part is that we're starting this cycle with low interest rates, low debt levels, and surplus liquidity. The December quarter was a first in almost a decade where the corporate earnings upgrades were higher than the downgrades. Also, because of COVID, the internal efficiencies of corporate India got accelerated quite a bit. In fact, this has helped to increase the transparency in corporate governance as well. One other important point is that India's PE right now, so PE meaning price to earnings ratio, may look slightly elevated, but please realize that we are sitting on almost 3/4 of deflated earnings, and we have a long growth cycle ahead of us. That's why it's important that earnings should be looked at on a more stock specific basis. Now, one of the other concerns that a lot of people have is that why is that would inflation be a concern? So if we look at the three components of inflation, it's food, wage, and international factors. So first let's look at wage. So there's a lot of poor people in urban India, and there's high NREGA demand. A lot of people in the informal sector don't have jobs, so wage inflation is unlikely to happen. Food production in India is on a surplus. Supply chains have normalized to a large extent. So that's why even food inflation, which was a worry last year, may not be such a big concern going forward. Internationally, the prices of a lot of commodities have actually increased. And a large reason for that is the disruption in the supply chain and China keeping buffer reserves. This also should normalize as things go forward. Now, if we look at the market, 7 to 10% corrections are like very normal in like a long run bull market. Now, if we look at this chart, as you can see, we've basically taken data all the way from 2015. And what we've done is we've seen that, okay, when the markets have fallen by over 5%, what kind of corresponding pullbacks do you get in the market? So as you can see, every time there has been a fall of more than 4 or 5%, the market has very convincingly pulled back, and not only pulled back, but actually it's gone to rebound even more quickly. So, even if we take maybe the last 1 year data from 2020, I mean, if you take March to April or May, or even, for example, when we had it in January, the markets corrected by almost 7%. And then in February, they again, they rallied by about 10%. Again, in March, they were down by about 3-4%. They've again been up by about 3.5%. So, this kind of slight fall and slight get up, I mean, this catch and cook story of the market is going to exist. I mean, that's just part and parcel of the market. What is important to realize is that we are sitting on the cusp of a long growth cycle. The other important thing is that the time in the market is more important than trying to time the market. Now, what this means is that, if you see historical studies across the world, what they've shown is that, the maximum money is made by being in the market, not by trying to be smart and trying to, timing the market. So if we take Nifty over the last 30 years, Nifty has a compounded return of almost 12%, which is a return of almost 31x. Now, if you missed the 30 out of these 10,900 days, your returns would come down from 30x to 3x. So my limited point is that data from across the globe just shows one thing, how vulnerable your returns are to, to the best days of the market. And it's almost impossible to figure out what those days are going to be. So that's why, big money is made by being in the market. And that's why I would strongly urge you, to remain invested. If you're already invested, please invest more money. And if you're sitting on the fences thinking that, markets will correct by 5-7% and I can enter at a better point, I would kind of say that that's maybe not the right way to think about it if you're looking to make substantial returns in the market. Now, in the backdrop of all of this, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Tezi Mandi and the strategy that we follow. So just to give a quick introduction about Tezi Mandi, the name of the company is TM Investment Technologies. We are a SEBI registered investment advisor. We are a subsidiary of the Motilal Oswal Group. How do we simplify stock investing? So what we offer is, it's an all-weather multi-cap portfolio that is based on your risk profile. We tell you what stocks to buy, how much to buy, and when to sell. The good part is that you can transact, using your existing Demat account. We support the top discount and full service brokers. So the Teji Mandi, investing philosophy has two important components. One is the stock picking side and one is the disciplined rebalancing side. Now coming to the stock picking side, again, there are two aspects to it. One is the tactical bets. So this is about 30 to 40% of the portfolio. Now the time horizon for something like this is about 3 to 6 months. And there are like maybe three important criteria. One is industry consolidation. So what this means is that, for a larger established entity, the competitive advantage could be higher. So for example, the banking sector in India, there's a lot of large private sector banks which are expected to gain market share from the smaller banks and from the PSUs because of better underwriting and better liability franchise. Sometimes a change in government policy could create opportunities for companies in certain sectors. So, for example, a government ban on electronic products from China could benefit companies in the Indian electronic sector. Industry tailwind. So, external conditions could be favorable to specific stocks or sectors during supernormal growth. So, for example, because of the above average rainfall last year, companies in the tractor, fertilizer, and agrochem space have done very well. Now, just to give you an example of a company in this category, it would be Ashok Leyland. So if you look at the CV cycle now, there's been 3 years of degrowth because of Axeload norms and BS6. And that combined with COVID pushed the industry volumes to like multi-year lows. Now, also over the last few years, Ashok Leyland has taken a lot of effort to modularize the platform. Because of which their inventory and their working capital became a lot leaner. And the companies also strategically added products, in the light commercial vehicle and MHCV range that increased their total addressable market. Now we entered the stock at about 70 rupees. The current price is about 130. So we've seen a substantial gain here. Now coming to long-term winners. Now these are companies which have, proven have a proven track record of growth over 1, 3, and 5 years. They should have, strong growth and strong growth triggers ahead. Even capital allocation should be prudent. Now, one of the best examples for this would be HDFC Limited. Now, HDFC is, one of probably India's greatest housing finance companies and also one of the greatest NBFCs. It has subsidiaries like HDFC Bank and HDFC Life, which are the respective leaders in their industry. Also, the company has the lowest cost of funding, because of which it has a competitive advantage over a lot of other banks and NBFCs. Now, in terms of growth, mortgage penetration in India is less than 10%. Cost of housing, if you include the interest plus government subsidy plus tax deduction, is one of the lowest in 40 years. And also, India has a very large young population. So this gives HDFC Limited a long runway for growth. So now also, to talk to you a little bit about our stock analysis process, we basically track data from across 30 different sectors and subsectors. We do detailed balance sheet, income statement, and cash flow analysis. We also run quantitative screeners across accounting, growth, and valuation parameters. We also track real-time news of companies' earnings and other market participants. Now coming to the disciplined rebalancing. Now this is the strategy that relates to the selling aspect of the portfolio. Now just as buying is important, selling is also equally important. So we have a clear philosophy around that. One is that we sell when the investment thesis is no longer valid due to entry of a large competitor in the sector, or the company's capital allocation policy may have changed, or the company may have entered an unrelated industry, or it could be that the company's management has had a complete overhaul. We also choose to exit stocks when we find companies or sectors with better growth prospects, with better capital allocation policies, or there's a sector which is kind of seeing significant tailwinds. Also, when the thesis with which we had invested in the stock plays out, we may consider exiting that stock. Now, if you look at the return of the portfolio, I mean, this has significantly, this has done, meaningfully better than the index over the course of the last 1 year. And you take almost any time period and it's outperformed the index. And even if you see absolute returns for almost any period, this would have made money for you. So now in terms of the charge, we have really accessible nominal charges. It's 149 per month if you take the 6-month plan. And it goes up to 249 if you just take the 1-month plan. The good part is we don't charge you based on your investment amount. We have a fixed fees. So no matter how much you invest, our fees remain the same. Now, when you pay Tezi Mandi, what do you get? You essentially get access to an all-weather multi-cap portfolio of 15 to 20 stocks that is constructed on the basis of your risk profile. You get regular rebalances, which means when to exit stocks and when to buy stocks. You get regular updates on all the stocks in the portfolio. We also give you a simple rationale about why you should buy and sell the stocks. And through the partner brokers, it's a simple one-click buy and sell and rebalance facility. And it's also a great way for you to understand the stock market, because we have a lot of educational stuff that we do. We do a deep sector dive every day. We do 3 things to know every day. And we also talk to you about the stocks that we have in our portfolio. So it's a great way for you to learn about the stock market and how to think about it. So that's it from my side. I'd like to open the floor for Q&A, and I would love to hear from you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Vaibhav, for a good presentation about the topic. Now, guys, if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask them in the Q&A section. I see that we have a few questions, so I'll get started. So Chirag is asking, request to give us some entry level. I guess he's asking for an entry point into each of the stocks that we have in our portfolio.
Yeah. So Chirag, so what really matters is that the day that you subscribe to the portfolio, we would recommend that you enter all the stocks at that point itself. We don't give any very specific entry points because users and investors come in at different points and go in at different points. So our idea is that if you stay invested with us, we want to help you create wealth in the stock market, and we want you to achieve your financial dreams. So that's why, as I had explained, time spent in the market and time spent, especially with Tezi Mandi, the more time you spend, the more beneficial it would be for you. So that's why we don't give specific entry points and exit points. I mean, we'll tell you that these are the stocks you should own, and these are the stocks you should exit. And so I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Okay. And also, I guess Bidhu is asking, I have a fear in TM portfolio to keep new investors coming in. Can it happen that Tezi Mandi team will make rebalancing in such a way that the portfolio will remain between 20 to 25K? Will the rebalance always stay in this range? I think he's trying to ask that about the portfolio.
So, see, the portfolio that we've designed, it doesn't matter how much you invest, whether you invest 20,000 with us, you invest 2 crores with us, or you invest 20 crores with us. The portfolio is built for scale. So, there is absolutely nothing that stops you from putting any amount of capital in it. The idea of 20,000 is that it's just the minimum amount that someone can invest. So just like you would have seen a mutual fund, right, where you can do an SIP for 500 rupees or 5,000 rupees. Similar to that, what we've done is we've made the portfolio really accessible. So that's the only thing. I mean, I don't think you should read into it in any other way. Yeah, I mean, and basically we would also urge you to kind of do SIPs so that you kind of keep reinvesting over a period of time.
Thanks, Bidhu, for your question. So Paresh is asking, what is the ideal time horizon for the Tezi Mandi portfolio?
So, there's no ideal time. I mean, the longer you remain invested with us, the better it will be. But I mean, you should at least give it at least 18 months to 24 months to really see the benefits of what we have to offer. Because if you try to do anything before that, it could be very preliminary.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Paresh, for your question. Naveen is asking when did Tezi Mandi start?
So as we had shown, the portfolio was seeded in March last year. But there is while the portfolio in its current shape and form was seeded in March last year, but we have experience of over about a decade in the market. So there were other portfolios and other things that were there, but in the current shape and form as a SEBI registered RIA and the way the portfolio is currently constructed, the portfolio was seeded in March and we went live in about September or October last year.
Okay. Thanks for your question, Naveen. So we have another question about I guess relevant to our topic. Why is the stock market has not been affected much by the pandemic? How is it still going up?
So I think what you have to realize is that markets are a forward-looking animal. So if you had seen, the markets had anticipated the fear of COVID far before COVID actually hit and became a meaningful pandemic, even in India or globally, right? And so markets work in anticipation. So just like the markets fell, they also started running ahead, way ahead of expectations of people. So the markets actually move much before the actual event happens, and also there has been a gush of liquidity. I mean, globally, all the central banks have just kept the world awash with liquidity, and a lot of that liquidity finds its way through institutional investors in the stock market and through retail investors also. And usually a bull market catches the frenzy of retail investors, and so that's why their participation also increased. So also if you think about it, the earnings have actually been very encouraging. So the stock markets kind of anticipated that much before they actually happened. So that's kind of why the markets have moved the way they have.
Yeah, thanks for your question. So the next question we have Linesh, who's asking how much is the minimum return of the portfolio in a month?
Ignesh, that is a question that would vary from month to month. There is no minimum return that we guarantee or even look to guarantee, because that is not something that is in our control. Even from a regulatory perspective, we cannot give you that guidance. What we can tell you is that the markets, as I showed you earlier, have given you about 12% over the last 30 years, if you take that much data. What we expect is that over a period of time, you should make 15 to 18% in a year. But again, that could be lumpy because there are some years which are really good, and there are some years that are really bad. So on average, you should maybe expect anywhere between 15 to 18%, but by no means is that a guarantee or a guidance. It's just maybe some kind of an indicative number.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Linesh, for your question. So we have another person asking about, he became a customer a month back. Currently, he's in a drawdown of 2% in spite of 2 rebalances. What should he do?
So, thank you for your question. Very relevant. You should remain invested. As we've shown you earlier as well, the markets tend to, markets keep going up and down, and that has nothing to do with. In fact, those are the times which are the best friends for long-term investors. So, in case if you have more money, you should consider putting more money. You should not worry about the rebalances or your drawdown. The drawdown is more just kind of, it's a quotational loss. It's not a permanent loss. And the rebalances are done so that your portfolio is pruned and it becomes better as we go along. So you should not be worried. You should just if possible just follow what we're saying, and over a period of time you will see the benefits of it.
Okay. Thanks for your question. Um, so we have a few questions related to, I guess many people are asking about calls and short-term calls in terms of profit and loss and all of that. Maybe we can broadly just cover why we don't give calls in our
Yeah,
portfolio.
so if you see this entire industry, I mean, like everyone's obsessed about. A lot of people are obsessed about intraday calls and give me a 1 week call or give me a 1 month call. Now, the problem with something like that is that that's a very short term speculative kind of mindset. So we are not here to do speculation. I mean, we are here to do investing. So I think that making that distinction is very clear. And the second thing is that so and we also don't have like a short termish mindset. We have kind of a portfolio approach. So that's the reason that we avoid giving calls. In fact, for that matter, we are not the best people to give you calls. So if you're looking for kind of daily calls or intraday calls, maybe there are other places for you to look. But what we can help you with is that over a period of time, if you want kind of stocks that help you create wealth over a period of time, then we are the place to be.
Okay. Yeah, I guess this kind of answers a lot of the call related questions. So we have another question related to the portfolio. What is the minimum capital needed to invest in Tezi Mandi, and how much capital is allocated per stock?
So, I think there was a question around that previously. So the minimum ticket size is about 20,000, just slightly over 20,000, something like 20,300. And so there is a, based on your risk profile, there is a model portfolio. So, based on the weightage of the stock and based on the amount that you invest. So supposing if I put say 5% in stock A, and let's say you invest, say, 1 lakh rupees with us. So if 5% say has gone to, a specific stock, then we would invest 5,000 rupees in that stock. So like that, we've made, an entire portfolio composition. And then, once you come in, then, you would be instructed how many shares of each company you have to buy.
Okay. So someone is asking, will the second wave of Corona in India impact the market?
So, the second wave is likely to be very short and very intermittent. I mean, the biggest problem about Corona was not Corona itself, but it was the fear of Corona. And given that people have seen, an entire 1 year cycle about, how Corona works, what are the protocols you have to maintain, so that fear is not there in people's minds. Now you know exactly what you need to do. So to that extent, obviously there could be some intermittent local lockdowns and all of that, but it's very unlikely to derail the long-term trajectory in which at least corporate India is headed.
Thanks for your question. So we have a question from Aniruddha Roy. He's asking, in this current market structure, would you recommend value stocks versus growth stocks? I believe that the long-term consumption industry of India will remain alive. Do you feel there is still a lot of value in the typically higher PE stocks?
I think one thing you have to understand is that value and growth. I mean, there is general misnomer that these are two different categories, but you have to realize value and growth are both joined at the hip. When typically someone tells you that it's a value stock, I think what you're referring to are beaten down, cyclical, out of favor kind of stocks. So if you see our portfolio, we have a mix of growth, so-called value, so-called cyclical stocks as well, and also some mid-cap stocks that could compound money over the next few years. So it's very stock specific, it's very sector specific. To kind of broadly paint everything with the same brush would not be correct. And that's why I think when you have an advisor like us with you, we can help you create the right mix of stocks through the portfolio.
Okay. Paresh is asking, when a lot of people enroll, will there be an impact cost on buy and sell advice execution?
Paresh, thank you for your question. That should not impact at all because one is, if you see, we only have stocks in the Nifty 500, and so they are extremely liquid. Also, most investors don't buy at the same time. People buy and sell at different points in time, and also for the portfolio to have an impact cost. I mean, you know the AUM has to be really really large for that to happen, which I mean it's very unlikely that it will affect or have a meaningful impact on the on the buy cost or on the sell cost. That's usually more for ticket sizes where you have like 100 crores or 200 crores or 300 crores. In our case, since the amounts that on average people are investing are much lower, so that should not be a problem.
Okay. I have a few people asking about how is Tezi Mandi different than small case, and why do you have two portfolios on small case versus one portfolio on your app?
Yeah, so thanks for your question. Now, let me make a clear distinction. Now, Tezi Mandi, we are an investment advisor and a portfolio manager. Small case is simply a technology platform and a marketplace for advisors. Now, the thing is that on our app, we wanted to give you, an offering that is an all-weather kind of an offering. The multi-cap portfolio, the good part about it is that it has been tested over a longer period of time. And that's why through our app, we're offering the Tezi Mandi flagship multi-cap portfolio. The multiplier portfolio, which is the mid-cap and small-cap portfolio, we seeded it only about 2 or 3 months ago. That's why it's a slightly different portfolio. It's for a much longer term. The ticket size is higher. It's a slightly more premium offering that we had. Before we offered it on the app, we wanted to kind of just, kind of seed it and test it out. So that's the reason we're not offering it on the app currently.
Okay. Also, I guess somebody was asking about a few people are asking about the multiplier portfolio that we have on small case. So maybe you can briefly cover that.
So the multiplier portfolio, it's a portfolio of about 12 to 14 mid cap, small cap, kind of high conviction ideas. These are the kind of companies that help you, kind of compound your wealth, at maybe slightly at slightly faster pace than maybe say larger caps. But again, this also comes with slightly higher risk. The way we mitigate risk is that we buy them at prices that ensures that there is a large room for upside as well. So this is typically a lot of people have the fascination for multi-baggers or stocks that can multiply wealth like meaningfully. So these are the kinds of companies that, I mean, they may not be stocks that go up 5x or 6x, but they could compound wealth at decent rates. So that's kind of why we have that portfolio.
Yeah. So Ashish is asking, what is the total experience of the TM fund management team?
So basically, I'm the CIO. I've been around for 10 years. We have a couple of people on our team who are a little more junior to me. But if you see our advisory board, we have, my father, Mr. Agarwal, who's a stock market veteran and an investing legend. I think if you read about him, you realize the kind of experience he gets to the table. And we also have Mr. Ajay Menon, who's been in the Motilal Oswal investment space for a very long time. So in terms of the experience, and also please don't forget we have the backing of the entire MOFSL platform. So Motilal Oswal is known for the depth of its research and advice. So essentially we amalgamate and we distill out the best elements of all of that and provide that to you at a really accessible price point. So I don't think you should worry about the experience or the pedigree that we get to the table.
I think there's a follow-up question from Ashish. Basically, he's asking what happens if TM shuts down after 3 years.
So the good part is that the advice. So one is we are not going to shut down after 3 to 4 years. I mean, God forbid that there is a situation like that. And the second thing is that we do not take the money in our hand, in the sense we don't have the power of attorney. So all your money is with you. You're the one who gives the permission for the transactions to take place in your broking account. So be rest assured. I mean, in case if there's ever a situation where we are not there, I mean, the money is very safe with you. And we will also, I mean, we don't foresee a situation where we'll shut down, but in case if there is something untoward, we will ensure that there is a smooth exit, or some kind of a safety net that you have in terms of the advisory side. So we will not leave you hanging if that's what your fear is.
So Arjun is asking, Nifty was going from 8,000 to 6,000. Now it's going up towards 14,500. People are now saying the market is becoming overvalued. What should I do?
So as I'd explained earlier as well, I think if you look at the valuations, one is we're sitting on 3 quarters of deflated earnings. We have a long growth cycle ahead of us. We have low interest rates, low debt levels, and huge runway for growth. I mean, both the domestic economy and the international economy, are open for India's growth. So, I think that while if you think about things from a relative valuation or a near-term perspective, yes, 14,500 might seem like elevated, but if you take a longer-term trajectory, you would realize that there's a long way to go. So I would not be overly worried about Nifty levels at this point.
Okay. So a few people have asked about small case again. They are asking that small case charges only a one-time fee. Why are you charging a annual monthly fee?
I guess when you're saying a one-time fee, are you talking about the small case? I mean, are you talking about a specific portfolio there, or
actually, I think small case does not charge a one-time fee. They have a fee, but for every subsequent transaction, they charge 50 rupees. So it's not a one-time fee, definitely. You can check out the small case pricing. We are actually an investment advisor, so we have to charge a certain fee for our services. We cannot give advice for free. So that is basically the overall answer to this.
And just to add to that, even if you have concerns about the pricing, I mean, our price points are really, really accessible. I mean, typically, if you had to access, the kind of advisory we are getting to the table, usually it's available for people who invest in PMS products, where ticket sizes are upwards of 50 lakhs. They have to pay exorbitant fees and all of that. So if you look at it in that context, I mean, our advisory starts at as low as 149 per month. And so that's definitely a very accessible price point for a lot of people.
Okay. I think, let me see. So most of the questions are already been answered. Okay. What is the advantage of investing early?
Investing early, you mean early in terms of age, or early in terms of the market cycle?
Early in terms of age, like starting early.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, the earlier you start, the longer you have to create wealth for yourself and to achieve your financial dreams. So I guess, if you start when you're in your 20s, I mean, by the time you're in your 40s or even in your 50s for that matter, I mean, you would have, and you're with, say, like a decent, prudent advisor, your money will compound, at least in India at a pace that you can't even imagine. So let me just give you some numbers, right? So if if you invest or if your money compounds at say 25% per year for the next 10 years, your money in 10 years will become 10x, right? And that same money, if it does 25% for the next 20 years, your money will become 100x, right? So this is just simple power of compounding. I mean, even if you're with half a decent advisor, I mean, just the power of compounding will take you home. So starting early and remaining invested for a long period of time, I mean, those are the two best things that you can do for yourself.
Okay. Thanks for your question. So a lot of people are actually asking about IPOs. What is Tezi Mandi's take on the IPO side, like IPOs that are happening this year?
So yeah, I mean, IPOs again, there's always a lot of excitement and a lot of frenzy, especially for retail investors, during IPOs. The reason that we usually stay away from IPOs is that there is a lot of froth. There is, a lot of there's a lot of excitement and anticipation. So if you are someone who can handle that at a personal level, you could maybe go ahead and take it. But what we usually do is we let that settle down, because especially since we are an investment advisor, we don't want you to take undue risk. So that's why if you see pretty much all the stocks that we have in our portfolio, they are companies and industries that have been around for a long time. So, there's decent enough track record about them. We understand at what part of the cycle they work, what part of the cycle they don't work, etc. So yes, there are some new exciting companies coming. For example, like Nazara Games just got listed yesterday. I mean, again, just to give you an example, now Nazara is one company that has been in the gaming industry. It's one of the first gaming companies in India to get listed. So there was a lot of excitement around it. But if you see the stock, it's been extremely volatile. So that's why we kind of wait and watch companies like that. But we also do believe that there are a lot of other interesting opportunities that which might look boring or which will not look so exciting to you, at the outset. But if you go deeper into them, you'll realize that they're quite good.
Okay. A few people are asking about which stockbroker do you recommend for Demat account to link with Tezi Mandi?
So we have not, I mean, we don't have any stockbroker who we kind of recommend or have any commissions with or anything. I mean, I would suggest that, if you don't want transaction charges to happen for you, then probably going with a discount broker like maybe a Zerodha or a 5paisa or, any of the other folks, that might be good, because their brokerage charges are really, really nominal. And especially companies like Zerodha don't charge any fees for delivery trades. So, I mean, again, that would be my recommendation, but it is by no means, a final word. I mean, you should do your research before you select any broker.
Okay. What is Tezi Mandi's take on options trading and F&O?
Yeah, so we are completely out of that market. I mean, that's a completely different animal. I mean, it's a very, very speculative, very dangerous, and I mean, you have to be at it 24/7, and you have to be extremely apt. I mean, you cannot. I mean, if you want to do F&O, like, you can't have a third person do it for you. You have to do it yourself. So I mean, and that's also an area that we kind of stay away from and don't really understand it. So that's why I would refrain from giving any advice around it.
Okay. Is your portfolio momentum or value oriented?
So again, I think there was a similar question about value and growth earlier. So, the funny part is that value, momentum, and growth, on paper, like, some people may have given them definitions that this is a momentum stock or this is a value stock or this is a growth stock, but they're all, in reality, the boundaries, are quite blurred between all of them. And essentially, if you see the kind of stocks we look at, So we have two parts to our portfolio. One is the tactical bet. So these are companies that are relevant from a 3 to 6 month perspective. So these are stocks that might have um, interesting prospects from the next 3 to 6 months. And so in some cases you could consider them to be momentum stocks. In some cases you could consider them to be value stocks. Um, and now if you take the long-term winners, these are companies that have clear growth paths for the next 3 to 5 years. And they should have good prudent capital allocation. So you could consider them growth stocks. But we also have a lot of cyclical stocks, for example, which would fall in the bracket of value. That would be part of long-term winners. So it's very difficult to kind of maybe just say that are you value, are you momentum, are you, so that's why we kind of don't want to give ourselves any kind of cliche or any kind of bucket. We keep our approach more broad based.
Okay. I guess there's a question related to our presentation. Should we wait for a correction before investing? Also, how is rebalancing related to corrections?
Yeah, so I think these are two different questions. So I'll answer the first one, which is should we wait for a correction? I think I've addressed this question before. I mean, obviously investing, you should invest when you feel comfortable. Ultimately, you should get you should have peaceful sleep at night. So it depends on you. But my 2 cents on it would be that you should invest when when you can. If you have the capital, you should invest today itself, because being in the market is far more important than timing the market. And there are numerous studies to show it. I've shown you data as well, where in fact you should use corrections to buy into the market rather than trying to time it, because if, like, let's say you keep waiting, the markets can rebound very sharply. And just like yesterday, for example, it rallied by almost 2%. So whenever the markets are falling, and if you have capital at your disposal to invest, you should consider investing. I think the second question was around the rebalancing. Now, rebalances have nothing to do with the correction. They are extremely stock specific and extremely portfolio specific. So, depending on how the portfolio stocks are doing, and at the same time, there's an entire opportunity set of stocks outside of our portfolio, how those are doing. So, based on the consideration set we have and the portfolio stocks that we have, it's kind of a juggling between the two of them. So that's kind of how it is. So it's more about those, like how the stocks are doing in the portfolio and in our consideration set, rather than how the external, like the whole market is doing.
Okay. I have a few people asking about. They're comparing the portfolio to Motilal Oswal's own product, Funtech. Maybe you want to shed some light on that aspect.
Right. So kind of two things on that. One is Funtech is not a Motilal Oswal portfolio. Motilal Oswal is simply the broker and the distributor. Funtech is managed by an external advisor called Markets Mojo. Right. Their portfolio approach is completely different from what we have to offer. In fact, we also have a portfolio on Motilal Oswal, which is managed by a third-party RI. The portfolio is called Prime. So that's a slightly different strategy, because it is for a slightly higher ticket audience, and the fee structure and all is also completely different. So at this point, I would not want to talk about Motilal Oswal's product, because one is that we are an independent, like, investment advisor. So there's a clear Chinese wall for us between the broking and distribution team of Motilal Oswal and us. So that's why I think I would refrain from giving any comparison. All that I can tell you is that they're two completely different products. Completely different teams managing it. Yeah.
Okay. I think a few of you have some product questions, so I'll just quickly answer them. I guess Weber will also get a break. So I guess Ankur is asking that, can we invest 3x or 5x in a single shot? Ankur, you can invest any amount. You can change the amount while investing. You don't need to top up again and again. You can invest like the whole amount in one shot. You don't need to keep on doing it again and again. Another option that we offer is the SIP option. So while you're investing, you can actually set an SIP, and basically your first investment will still be equal to the minimum amount, which will be around 21K, and following investments can be made within 6 to 7K. So that is also one possibility. Right now, we don't have an option for you to start a new SIP or edit an SIP. This is something that we are actually actively working on right now, so that you will be able to set up an SIP as well in the future. I guess Ashish had also asked a question about what is in our product pipeline. So we are actually planning this. We are also planning to add an option where the language is in Hindi. So we are adding that as a important option that is there. And we are also kind of improving the flow based on your feedback. So keep the feedback coming, guys. You can always reach out to us on chat or email or any of these platforms, and we can definitely answer questions related to that. Okay. So how is the Tezi Mandi portfolio connected to Small Case? So we just use Small Case as a technology partner. We don't use it for anything else. There are no charges that are applicable from the end of Small Case. However, your broker might charge a fee for connecting with us. It varies depending on the broker. Most of the common brokers don't charge anything, but there are a few like Zerodha and a few of them which charge a fee of around 50 to 100 rupees to begin with. But yeah, I mean, there are no other charges besides that. That's only a one-time charge for any free subsequent investments or anything. There are no other charges that are applicable. So you only pay us a subscription fee, and that is basically it. Okay. Is there a way to change it to an annual subscription? Yes, sir. You can. So 7 days before subscribing, 7 days before the subscription ends, you can actually renew the subscription and change it to an annual to a 6-month subscription. As per SEBI norms, we cannot actually charge you for more than 6 months. So you can only increase it to 6 months, basically. In terms, I know a lot of you are asking questions about specific companies. So as an investment advisor, I mean, we can't really give you views on specific companies as per SEBI norms. So maybe Vaibhav, you want to talk a bit about that. Some people are asking about specific stocks like ITC and Burger King and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, again, these are all very, large companies, very interesting companies, but I think we refrain from kind of giving any guidance around it. We would suggest that, at least with respect to Tezi Mandi, I think, if you look at our own portfolio, we have about 15 or 16 stocks. So kind of just sticking to that and maybe remaining focused on that in itself is an entire universe for somebody to explore. So I think, that would give you a good flavor of different industries and different sectors. So yeah. So I think just as important as it is to buy stocks, it's equally important to say no to a lot of stocks. So, I mean, if you are personally convinced about a specific stock, maybe you can just have, small positions so that you keep tracking it. But as far as we are concerned, I think we are convinced about the 15 to 20 stocks that we recommend to you.
So Kailash is asking, how do you allocate the portfolio? How do you decide the weightage of a stock?
Yeah, Kailash. So basically, we have, this is not a very easy question for me to answer it in a really simple way. But I think the way we look at it is that we have high conviction bets and we have maybe, so one is, companies that are more stable, much larger, have good growth, good visibility, etc. Second is, they also have, So let me break it down. So there are two parts to portfolio construction. One is stock selection and one is stock allocation. So I guess selection is something that we've spoken to you about. Allocation depends on, one is the size of the stock, how stable it is, etc. And second is that in some cases, we might be more convinced about the growth prospects or, about how the stock might do in the next 6 to 12 months. So the weightage is something that we keep playing around based on. I mean, it's a question of many things. One is how is that sector doing? What is our conviction about it, etc. So usually the weightage is between 7% and 5%. In our case, only HDFC Limited is the largest holding with about 12% allocation, and that's been done for kind of various reasons. One being obviously the size of the franchise, in the quality, the pedigree, the stability, the growth ahead. Etc. So I think that's probably as much as we can tell you about it.
So Sadiq is asking, your portfolio is continuously changing. So is it possible that the portfolio will churn completely by the end of the year?
Yeah, hi Sadiq. So as we've explained, I think depends on what time you've entered, but I think last 2-3 weeks have been a little bit dynamic. Now, the part of the portfolio that changes a little more frequently is the tactical bets. So these are companies that are relevant from a 3 to 6 month perspective. Now, the core portfolio that's there, which is the long-term winners, they don't change very often. So the core portfolio remains quite intact. Only maybe the weightage might change a little bit within that, but the stocks don't change. Also, if it was up to us, I mean, we could sit completely still and not do anything with the stocks in our thing. But our effort is to constantly optimize and to help you make more and more money in the stock market. And so that's why, there might be times when you might see like the portfolio, at least the tactical bets component is changing a little more frequently. You might see times when there's nothing happening. So there are so many factors that go into that decision making that it's almost impossible to give you any kind of guideline. But on average, if you see, we rebalance the portfolio about once or twice in a month.
So I have Vikas asking that will the investment happen through our app? Yes, the investment will happen through our app. You don't have to do it through the small case app. But yeah, so you can decide from where you want to specifically do it. You can do it through our app directly. So that is fine. What is the portfolio turnover ratio of TM portfolio?
So, I think the turnover ratio, I mean, I think is something that would probably be more visible over a longer period of time. I think, for us to kind of give you a number right now may not be correct or prudent because, last year, I mean, this entire year has just been so volatile. The opportunity set has changed, at a pace which usually takes 5 years. So what happens in 5 years, you've seen it happening in kind of 7 or 8 months. So that's why, some parts of the portfolio have been kind of turning more quickly than others. But on average, again, I mean, I can't really give you a number. So what I can just tell you is that we have two parts of the portfolio, the tactical bets and the long-term winners. The tactical bets tend to change a little more than the long-term winners. And that's not done so that we generate more fees or more income. It is done because the opportunity set, our effort is to keep improving the stocks that we have in our portfolio, to constantly keep optimizing it. So that, you can become a better investor and actually make more money as well.
Yeah. Why should any active or passive investor invest in Tezee Mandi in terms of expenses? Not very clear, but maybe we can talk about passive investing versus the Tezee Mandi portfolio.
Right. So, I think passive and Tezee Mandi, I mean, these are two very, very different strategies. I mean, passive is more about you kind of buy the index and you keep sitting. There's nothing to think about. It's a very, very simple kind of product. But our aim is that we want to, help you, generate at least slightly higher returns than what the index has to offer through good stock picking. And the idea is that, over a period of time, you know, you should generate enough capital to achieve your financial freedom. Now, this kind of stock picking that we offer, usually it's done by, either prop investors or, like personal investors who do it. But we are kind of trying to offer that to you at a really accessible price point. So yeah, I mean, you could maybe have a small percentage of your portfolio in passive funds. But if you are looking for kind of meaningful long-term wealth creation, then maybe going with an active advisor like Tezi Mandi might make sense for you.
I guess somebody is asking about Tezi Mandi versus the small case app. So basically, the two products are actually separate. So if you invest through small case, for example, that portfolio won't be visible in our app. And at the same time, if you invest through our app, that portfolio won't be visible inside small case. So you have to, I mean, these two products are separate, basically. So that's why I think you should pick either or. Either you pick the small case platform or you pick our app. Our obviously recommendation is to go through our app because the experience is much more specific. On the small case app, there are obviously other distractions, there are other portfolios. So you can definitely look at our app as I mean, it's a more focused product. We are focused on this one portfolio. And yeah, that's the best way I feel to kind of get a full understanding of our research and our product as well. Okay. I think that's pretty much it. Do you want to take more questions, Vaibhav?
Yeah, we can maybe take 2 or 3 more.
Okay. Can anyone in the market predict the upcoming market? What are your thoughts on Warren Buffett and Rakesh Jhunjhunwala?
I think, again, referring to Mr. Warren Buffett, I think he said that he's never found anyone who can predict the market. Now, I think rather than trying to predict the market, what is more useful is that you should invest in a portfolio of companies, just like we do, because one is there are far fewer participants tracking it, and second is the moving parts in it are far lower. So that's why your odds of making money in individual securities is much higher than trying to predict, a broad market where there are so many moving factors that, I mean, it can overwhelm at least any individual retail investor. Now, talking about Mr. Buffett and Mr. Jhunjhunwala, both these gentlemen are, I mean, phenomenal investors in their own right. Mr. Buffett, I mean, as in terms of his long-term track record, is absolutely, I mean, phenomenal. I mean, like that kind of track record over 40 years to have is just crazy. So, if you want to follow Mr. Buffett's style of investing, what you have to understand is that both these guys have developed their investing styles in the context of their own background. So if you look at Warren Buffett, for him, he gets, large part of Berkshire Hathaway is insurance companies. Now they get float money at about 2%. And basically he has to earn an arbitrage of 8 to 10% on that. So that's why his strategy has evolved from there. And they have the ability to hold on to companies for really, really long periods of time, which most investors don't have the time or the patience. Mr. Jhunjhunwala is a rare breed of investor who has been a successful speculator and a successful investor at the same time. The kind of risks that he can take, the kind of conviction that he can get to the table, and the kind of patience that he has, I mean, that is just, I mean, just that mental makeup is kind of almost impossible for any retail investor to have. So that's why, I think in the context of all of that, that's where a product like Tezi Mandi comes in. We really simplify everything for you. All that you have to do is, maybe invest with us, by paying a really, kind of a fairly accessible subscription fee. and follow what we're telling you. And over a period of time, you'll realize that you're becoming a better investor, and you're also maybe doing well in the stock market. So we guide you through the way, and it's like a professional expert kind of guiding you through the journey of the stock market. So
yeah. So I guess some of you had some questions related to specifically our portfolio. What I suggest is maybe you can just reach out to us on support and talk about this, because we can't really talk about the stocks in a live webinar. So maybe you guys can just reach out to us. Weber, somebody had that question related to the stock that we added and removed. So maybe you can cover a little bit about that.
I think there was some questions around the latest rebalance around ABFRL. So we had entered ABFRL. A couple of weeks back, and then we switched from ABFRL to BEML. Now, this was not done because ABFRL is a bad stock or because our thesis changed. As we've explained in our strategy of rebalancing, we also exit stocks when we find opportunities that are better than the current one. So we think that BEML is a significantly better opportunity than ABFRL, which is why we kind of chose to kind of make that move. And yeah.
Okay. I think we are pretty much done in terms of the questions. Thank you guys for attending the webinar with us. We will definitely be conducting more such webinars in the future on various topics. You can definitely reach out to us as well, like in terms of suggestions for topics. For topics that we can cover in more detail. But yeah, it was good having you all. Thanks for your questions as well. Most of them were very, very good. And I hope we've answered them to your satisfaction. So yeah, cool.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks.